Hey there, Penly Play viewer. Today we're diving into Atlantis: The Lost Tales. As we begin, we take control of the game's protagonist, Seth, who just arrived on Atlantis. Start by going up the stairs to the fountain. When you are in the fountain plaza, approach one of the two stairway guards and show them your star medallion. This serves as proof of being a companion and will grant us access to the palace. Most places in town are closed, so we'll need to use the left building stairway to reach the second floor and circle around until we find a door to the companions' quarters. Here we will meet some fellow companions, Agatha, Lascoit and Meljans. We will learn that we're not supposed to interfere in the investigation of the missing queen. Meljans will also ask Seth for some wine. It's important to refuse this request by inspecting Meljans and clicking the thumbs down icon. We'll speak to Agatha about the queen and decide to investigate the queen's disappearance. We know that the attack took place on a road near the coast, so we need to exit the town. To do this, we'll need to go back to the starting point of the game and head towards the beach. We'll continue along the path until we reach the coast area. Here, we'll find a guarded road and a beach. The guards along the road won't give us any information. Instead, we'll use our exploration skills and go to the beach to gather clues. Find the cabin on the beach and snoop around inside of Action's home. When he arrives, show him the star medallion to gain his trust. In return, he'll give you a mysterious earring. We can talk to Action for some random dialogue before heading back to town. When we're back, we enter the palace and get a cutscene with some guards telling us that Creon wants to meet with us. During our meeting with Creon, we'll have the option to give him the earring that Action found. However, it's best to lie. After the meeting, Seth is back on the streets of Atlantis. Going outside is now forbidden. We should return to Agatha in the companion quarters and show her the earring. We now need to figure out what to do next, so we talk to people around Atlantis. The person that we're looking for is Lascoit. He will be leaning against one of the guarded buildings. We show him the earring and have some conversations, then ask about the queen. Your objective then becomes to meet up with Lascoit and other people at the Scarlet Cockerel. That's a tavern in the residential area. Lascoit gives us a lamp, and he also offers to distract the guards around the corner. We wait a couple of seconds, turn the corner and approach the distraction. Then we enter the building. The first floor has a guard. We need to quickly avoid his line of sight by moving to the nearest door. Now we're waiting for his footsteps to fade. When the guard is far away, that's our cue to enter the corridor. We turn quickly and use the stairway, which leads to an unguarded museum. In one of the corners of the museum, a puzzle exists. It consists of a device with two cranks. Lascoit hinted at the solution earlier when we talked to him. He said, "Daylight over Atlantis has vanquished the darkness." In other words, we need to create a solar eclipse, where three celestial objects align. We should use the two cranks until this happens. When this is done correctly, the lion's mouth will open. Feed it the lamb you got from Lascoit and a secret door will open. When you go through the secret door, you find yourself in a corridor. We can use the earring to unlock an empty dungeon. From there we can hop out the window to get to the residential area. The Scarlet Cockerel is our target. However, we need to be careful as approaching it mindlessly will result in getting knifed by Servage. To take him down, we need to climb the stairs of the house next to the bar and observe his pacing. Then we can pick up a flower pot and aim it to knock him out. When Servage is down, we can take his knife and enter the inn to meet with Garcelos and Lascoit. Meljans will enter the bar and we need to act fast. We should quickly go up the stairs and use the knife on the chandelier's rope. Then we can aim at Meljans down below and take him out. We need to run back to the small courtyard to escape. and there we will meet Agatha. We ask Agatha about Melgens and Creon, then we come up with a plan to spy on Creon. Take the ladder and use it on the bench to climb up onto the wall. And from there we can use the ladder on the prison window to go back inside. When we're back in the secret corridor, we need to avoid returning to the museum as guards are there now, waiting for us. Instead, we can take the crowbar leaning against the wall near the secret entrance and use it on a compartment by one of the torches to find a wooden mouse. We can then drop the wooden mouse into a hole in the wall, which reveals another secret room. Inside this room, we'll find Ratcatcher and his pet Silken. We can question him about the companions and Creon, and then agree to play one of his games. In this game, Seth gets one piece that he can move 2 spaces. The Ratcatcher gets 2 pieces that can move 1 space each. To win, Seth must dodge the enemy and locate the Queen. This is done by moving onto the same space as the Queen. The catch is that she appears in random location and doesn't show on the board. Her position will be revealed every couple of turns. After we win, we need to ask the Ratcatcher about Creon to trigger a trapdoor that will get Seth to the museum statue room. Once we're there, we need to inspect the North Star. Press the star to open a ceiling hole. Then we'll need to take the trident from the fountain sculpture and use it on this hole. We're now able to eavesdrop on the throne room, and we learn about Carbonek. When we're done, we need to go back down to the previous room and put everything back together. This means putting the trident back and closing the ceiling hole by pressing the North Star. We will now encounter the same patrolling guard as before, and once again we need to time our run through the corridor while he's not in line of sight. When we're ready, we'll go down the long corridor. At the end of the corridor, we'll find a stairway leading to the library. There are 2 guards in this area, so we need to be careful not to make too much noise or linger for too long. To escape the room, we'll need to approach the nearest guard and push the bookshelf onto him to create a distraction. Then we can hurry into the courtyard before the remaining guard tries to catch us. Here we find Agatha and Carven. We talk to Agatha about the hidden knowledge and Carbonek. Then we get a short cutscene with Carven coming running with a guard. We'll use the knife on the guard to try and protect ourselves. Sadly, Agatha got stabbed by Carven, and the only thing left to do is talk to Agatha and get her brace. We will next need to enter the courtyard again and climb back into the dungeon. We can now enter the museum again since the guard is back on his regular route, which weirdly doesn't include the museum. We'll listen for him to walk down the corridor and then make our way out. This time we'll exit onto the street and enter the next door building. When we're inside this building, we need to operate the elevator to reach the sky bridge, which leads to the hangar. Of all the skyships, we'll board the smallest one closest to the bridge. We'll sit in the pilot seat and take a nap. We get woken up by Hector asking who we are. We'll show Hector Agatha's brace to gain his trust and fly together to Carbonek. We have now reached Carbonek, so let's find the Queen. Head to the water tunnel entrance located next to a bridge. Swim through the tunnel and inspect the hole-shaped object for our next puzzle. We need to reorganize the snake segments from largest to smallest. When the puzzle is complete, the hole will lead us into a kitchen/storage room. Speak to the nearest woman and show her your star medallion to prove that you're a companion. Then move to the metal chest and inspect the spare ropes for a disguise. While wearing the disguise, Seth won't immediately be captured. Take the jug from the table and offer a drink to the guard outside the door. When he has had a drink, we can enter the hallway. In the cave, Our goal is to rescue the queen from her cell, and we have to do this while maintaining the disguise at all times. If a guard happens to stop Seth, offer them a drink instead of ignoring them. Soon you will find the cell of the queen. If you stand here, a cutscene will occur. When the cutscene is over, there's only one guard left, so take the log and knock him out cold. Don't forget to drag the unconscious guard into the cell, and then inspect him to take his clothes. Speak with Queen Rhea about the companions, then offer her your priestess robes for a disguise. Make sure that you're facing a whale while she's changing her clothes. Ask her about the hidden knowledge and then remind her to remove her ornate mask. Exit the cell and return to the kitchen. A guard will show up and ask us about our purpose. To get past him, pretend the woman is a delusional woman who thinks she's the queen. Enter the kitchen and escape through the chimney. Now we need to make our way back through the water tunnel and climb the cliff to avoid capture. Try to avoid the lower parts of the forest as they are guarded. Let's make our way to Hector's ship. When we arrive and meet up with Hector, we notice that there are guards close to his flyer. Seth decides to be the distraction so Hector and the queen can escape. When the guards are chasing Seth, head the other way. After crossing the creek, we'll head east to the old woman's cave. Don't push any buttons until we're prompted to do so. We'll talk to the old woman and be given a task to make a puzzle to obtain 4 eggs. Completing the puzzle requires putting cogs in the right spot and then pulling a chain to see the reaction. When we have obtained all the eggs, we'll speak to the woman for a follow-up task. We'll place the 4 eggs into any given slot, then move our 4 snakes out of the holes to these eggs. Snakes cannot cross each other's path, and there are multiple solutions to this puzzle. For the 3rd task, we'll be given a clue. Seek on high the feathered killers. Wash them by the beast in stone. They'll show the white one, and low will lay him. Fill the bag with blood-soaked soil, and rip from his snowy snout that which is mine. The feathered killers refer to a set of bow and arrow which can be found on the hills. After we've found them, we need to wash them. The white one refers to a magical snow-colored boar, and if we've gotten this far, it will appear somewhere in the forest. We need to have the bow and arrow ready and fire a shot at the beast. When we hit our target, we can obtain the nose ring and use the bag on the bloody soil. After collecting all the items, we should return to the old woman to continue our adventure. We can listen to her dialogue choices and try any inventory object to progress further. We will now witness the events at the stone circle in the form of a cutscene. When the cutscene ends, we can exit the cave. We will then learn about a treasure buried at the Tree of the First in Atlantis Palace. The old woman will give us a flask with powder, which, when combined with the treasure, provides hints on how to proceed. And finally, we will experience another cutscene where Seth returns to Action's docks. We begin with visiting Action's hut and rest until morning before returning to the palace. We will head through the town and enter the staircase into the residential area. From the courtyard, we will use the ladder again to re-infiltrate the museum. When we are inside, we will get the wooden mouse from the compartment, plug it into the wall and enter the rat catcher's room like we did before. In the rat catcher's room, we need to ask about the Tree of the First to get an invitation to play yet another game. This game is a little bit more complex, but not harder than any other game. The goal of this game is to help the rat to the bottom while avoiding all the traps. Succeeding this earns you a blue crystal from the rat catcher before another trapdoor opens. After falling, we need to exit the torchlit corridor to continue. When we are noticed, we need to grab the urn on Seth's left side and throw it at the guard. And then quickly slide under Melgen's legs and enter the throne room. When we're inside, we need to quickly look to the left again to take the spear and lay it against the throne room door. Now that we're safe, we can inspect the back of the throne for another puzzle. The puzzle requires to rotate 4 celestial bodies into the correct configuration, then twist a knob at the bottom. The throne will move and we need to exit down the new stairway. To continue, we should go to the left tunnel. Once we ascend the spiral stairway, it leads us into a room. In the middle of the room, we have a puzzle. Our goal is to fit all available shapes into the predefined shape. When we accomplish this, a statue in the room is revealed. If you inspect the statue, you will find another game piece. We use our newly found piece on the next part of the puzzle. Another statue is revealed and we do the same thing again. The final statue has no piece, but instead it provides a path forward. So now we find ourselves in a tower, and to proceed we need to exit onto the nearest balcony and look for a rake. Then we can continue. When we reach the top, we also see a tree. We walk around the tree of the first and bend down in front of a spot near its base. We use the rake to dig up the crystal ball. We then go back to the tunnels from where we came. A short cutscene appears that tells Seth that the next destination has a white bear at it, though Seth needs a pilot to reach the destination. We return through the lower tunnels and go towards the throne room again. This time we look to the right, where there are 2 tunnels. Take the tunnel furthest away from the stairway and follow it to the end. Here you will find another puzzle. To solve it, we need to use the rake and move the tiles around until they create the full picture. When the puzzle is solved, a door will unlock, allowing you to take a shortcut back into the town of Atlantis. Head to Action's coastal hut and ask him again about the white bear and the pilot. Action will tell you that his daughter is a pilot and she is located somewhere in town. And Action gives you her mother's crystal to help you convince her. We head back into the alley with the clothesline and enter the temple by solving yet another rake puzzle. We backtrack to the throne room and then we visit the last unvisited tunnel. At the end of this tunnel we'll also find a rake puzzle. We're now back in the museum building and we'll go to the solar eclipse puzzle. Once again we feed the lamb to the lion statue and then we hop into the back alley. And from here we need to do some investigation to find where Action's daughter Anna is. We look around in the residential area, and once we get close to the Scarlet Cockerel we find a building where Anna is. We will need to speak with the attendant Lona about Anna and wait for her to arrive. When we're outside, Anna kicks Seth and immediately runs off. Now we need to enter the Scarlet Cockerel again. Inside, we'll need to speak to Servage about Creon, Rhea, and then himself. We do this to gain his trust, so he will help us distract Garcelos. After speaking with Servage, we'll need to visit the upstairs hallway to listen to a conversation. We can then move closer and enter the room to the right to avoid being seen. When we come back out, Servage will be in the hallway. He will wonder if we need his help, so we say yes and then go into the next room. Melgens will try to convince Servage that Seth is lying, but continues speaking to Servage. After a little while, Servage promises to protect us and we can leave the room with Anna. We head to the courtyard nearby, After we've shown her both the star medallion and her mother's crystal, we will try and together go to the hangar. The process is the same as before. When we made it into the elevator building, we used the elevator like before. When we got to the top, we realized we need to hide Anna somewhere. We find a large sack and we convince Anna to lay inside of it. We then approach the flying vessel in the same place where Hector's ship was earlier and we board it. Once we're on board, we approach the pilot seat, we turn around and we hijack the flying vessel. Anna and Seth will land near an igloo village. We go closer to the village and get greeted by a bunch of people. Unfortunately, there's a language barrier. And by showing the star medallion, we come to some sort of agreement. Then we get to watch another cutscene. We find ourselves in a new igloo. We need to cut a length of twine from the tapestry using our trusty knife, and we fix it to a stick on the floor. By combining these two items, we create a grappling hook which we can use on the igloo's hole in the top. And once we've climbed up, we're free! Once we're outside, we will only be able to go into 2 igloos at the same time. When you enter a third one, we'll be imprisoned. So go to the igloo which has a burning fire and take the piece of wood between the figures. Our next step is to circle around the village and enter one specific igloo. Inside we find an easy puzzle waiting for us on the floor. There are 3 pieces and 3 icons on the floor, and our task is to match them. When we solve this puzzle, a secret basement passage is revealed. Be sure to take the right route, spy on the natives' ritual. When we get noticed, we need to run back and take the left route before quickly turning around and shutting the door to buy us some time. We go to Anna, who is gagged and can't speak. Instead of talking to her, we need to turn and face the statue and inspect the mask. We're now posing as the natives' god. When we do this, they will no longer be a problem for us. We then take our knife and cut the ropes that binds Anna's hands. When Anna is free, we can question her about the statue's eye and her mother's crystal, and she will try to harmonize. Anna will soon see a star which we need to follow. We move to the floor drawings of that object and inspect it. We get a vision. Then we need to repeat this process with each image that Anna sees, including the child, man, woman, sun, and moon. You will soon realize that it's just a clockwise path around the chamber. When we're outside again, go to the place where your ship landed. Don't return to the village, but instead go towards the right in the direction of the cave. You see a bear in front of the cave, and if you look to your left, a stone. Don't wait around to see what happens, but instead move in the direction of the big stone or the rock. Round the stone and then go towards the cave again and then through the cave. Move forward to the man at the ship, and another cutscene will follow. Seth and Jomar will be on a tropical island. Speak with Jomar to descend and then head over to Honalai, the king. Go down 1 level and approach the stone shed to learn more about the crabs of destiny. Inspect the racetrack to start. The game is basically a crab race. Place your crab on the mark and pray it will do great. Whoever loses is killed, so make sure it's not you. Win the race 3 times to win the game. Honali will then travel with Seth. You can click his portrait to talk to him. Question Honali about his tattoos and standing god. Eventually, Honali will notice another wooden bird approaching. Hector will land nearby and can be questioned for some nice extra information. We now tie a rope to Standing God's statue and ask Hector about the flyer. When we do that, we can enter the ship for a small cutscene. Hector will not be able to lift Standing God by his own. And that's when Honali mentions one of his daughter's powers. Hector, together with one of Honali's daughters, help raise Standing God. We'll now talk to Honali about the statue, and after that, we'll go to Hona's boat for a trip to the next island. Go towards the altar on the beach. We'll find yet another puzzle here. So the top row of this puzzle is for statues, the middle row having triangle pieces, and the bottom is for circular slots. The solution is as follows. In the top row we have blue, red, yellow and green. In the middle row we have bird, boar, fish and crab. And the bottom row, planet, constellation, moon and sun. In the next room there will be a woman with a spindle in the center. We will need to go down any side passage to see an illusion of Creon. After the illusion with Creon, we give the woman her vision stone. Then we go down any passage to see another illusion with Creon. We now have some cool cutscenes. After that, we find ourselves in a room with a floating cube. We ask the cube a whole bunch of questions about Seth's fate. After we've done that, we can activate what is best described as an elevator stone. Activating it will allow us to reach the second floor. We can then move forward a couple of spaces and inspect another missing floor piece. Seth will take the elevator stone down and find himself in another room. In this room, head towards the doorway and pick up the stone object on the ground. Then, enter the next room and grab the staff and go back. When you come back, place the staff on the spire's middle level, then use the stone on the upper level. After a short cutscene, enter the hole in the ground and take the orange cube. When you come back up, go towards the flyer. Now we find ourselves back on Atlantis beach. We find Action and we talk to him. We now have to return to the flyer. We fly up in the air towards Creon's ship. Go towards Anna underneath the captain's bridge and cut her loose with a knife. When Melgians appear, dodge his attack. Melgians will then fall from the ship and most likely to his death. Go back to your flyer once again and fly away from the ship. We now find ourselves in the middle of Atlantis. The museum building is unguarded and we make our way slowly to the rat catcher's room. He will give you clues on how to continue. Head back to the scroll room and go towards the whale exhibit. There's a whale head on the top floor. Inspect the left eye socket to get the eye tile. Take this tile to the dolphin fountain. Put the new tile into the dolphin's eye, opening a hidden passage. So after the dolphin fountain puzzle, we find ourselves in a maze. The goal is to reach the center while avoiding the traps. Once we find the center, we see Creon. Use Seth's magic power on the gold cannon. We then have to follow Creon through the catacombs. Use the magic power on the talking head and then quickly escape back into the previous room. Pick up the spherical crystal sitting on the ground by the catacombs entrance. Use it on the tentacle monster and then watch the final cutscene. And that is it, people. Thanks for joining us on this adventure through Atlantis the Lost Tales. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming content like this, and I hope to see you in the next one. Penley out.